right. Hey there, nerdpreneurs. Welcome back to Market Like a Nerd. And get ready to geek out with me because today I'm joined by networking expert Patty Farmer. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Patty.
Hey,
Welcome to
excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome to Nerdpreneur Nation.
This is fabulous. I've been so excited and waiting to be here. I love it. I love your Facebook group. So excited to be on the show.
Oh, thank you. Well, we are stoked to have you too. Now, for everyone who's listening, today we're going to be talking about how Patty turned 100,000 connections into $100,000. So first, let me tell you a little bit about Patty, and then we'll talk about her tips for monetizing your networking efforts. Patty Farmer is an international speaker, radio host, event producer, and best-selling author specializing in marketing and business growth strategies through coaching, mentorship, and consulting. Patty has created a network of 100,000 plus connections while teaching thousands of entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, and authors to connect, collaborate, and convert in less time and make more money while designing the lifestyle they want to live. Patty believes we all have a message, and her mission is to help them master, market, and monetize that message in a way that creates transformation for both them and their clients. Patty was recently awarded the International Collaborator of the Year, as well as the Social Media Influencer of the Year, and is known internationally as the Networking CEO. Now, that's the overview of her story and biography, but I want you to get to know the real Patty. So before we dive into the meat of today's episode, let's have some fun. Patty, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So fun questions. Morning socialite or networking night owl?
Morning socialite for sure.
Oh, really? I cannot get out of bed before like 10 a.m. I just can't.
I have half my day done before 10 a.m.
My husband does too. I don't know. I can't do it. All right. Favorite place to travel?
Ooh, Italy.
Would you rather be stuck at the airport surrounded by people you love or stuck at home with strangers all up in your personal space?
Airport for sure. Some of the best things that have ever happened to me started at an airport.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the reasons why I asked this question, because there's a story on your blog about being stuck on an airport. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Now imagine the world is taken over by extroverted speakers. They're all wreaking havoc on the city, standing up on trains to shout out their message, talking incessantly in libraries, and waking sleeping babies up from their naps with their loud voices. You alone can save the world, Patty. How do you stop them?
There's a mute button. There's always a mute button, right? There has to be a mute button.
You're going to put a mute.
Just step up.
You're going to push a mute button on the extroverted speakers?
Easily. They have to learn. Got to just mute them out and then step up, right? Mute them, step up.
All right, cool. So if I don't like you guys, I'm just going to press the mute button.
Exactly.
All right, finally, and most importantly, would you rather speak to an audience of 10,000 raving fans but be butt naked on stage, or get to keep your clothes on in an audience of one?
Definitely keep my clothes on in an audience of one, for sure.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one. I think that's where most of our answers would be.
I think so.
All right, cool. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Let's get down to business though, okay? So, okay. Patty, you told me you were going to share with us today about how you turned 100,000 connections into $100,000, and you did this multiple times. So let's dive in. Can you get a little OCD for us? Break it down into your 3 to 5 main tips or steps for us today.
I absolutely can.
Yay!
So here's the deal first. So first of all, you got to know, I moved to a new town, right? I don't know anybody, like 0 people. So I did what I think most people would do. I kind of had a pity party, right? Had a pity party. And then I was like, Patty, but then here's the OCD, right? Then I thought, wait a second. I'm not B2B. I'm not B2C. I'm in the people business. And I'm in a brand new town and I don't know anybody. So really the first tip really was to identify that opportunity, right? I moved to a new city, right? And I tell people all the time, look to the person next, right, across from you. Are they a B or a C? Of course not. They're a people, right? They're a
Oh,
person,
yeah.
right? So we're in the people to people business. So in that moment when I realized, wow, here I am in the Dallas metroplex of millions, I thought, wow, Patty, this is really an opportunity. So I had to change my thinking a little bit to have a shift like we sometimes do. So I just picked my big girl panties on. I stood up and I said, okay. And the funny thing is I walked to my refrigerator and I wrote 100,000 on my refrigerator. And my husband came home and he's like, what's this? And I said, I made the decision, which is the second tip. You have to make the decision. And so the decision was that I would meet 100,000 people and I would make $100,000.
That's
My husband's
awesome.
like, I know. My husband's like, I love that goal. So that was really the first thing. And we know that's in a lot of goals, right? A lot of things that people do. The first thing is always making the decision, right?
Yeah. And um I love when it's a one of those like stretch goals too. I know I'm one of those people where if I want to make like 500,000, I'm gonna set $1 million goal for myself, and it kind of pushes you because those bigger goals push you to take bigger action. Which meeting 100,000 people, that's big action.
Well, I think it has to scare you. If it
Yeah.
doesn't scare you, it's not big enough, right? It should really, really scare you. Like, I love that, love that. So the tip 3 is make a plan, right? So you make the goal, but now I had to make the plan. Like, how was I going to do that? So the first thing I had to do was to do my research. I'm in a new town, right? Do my research. So where should I network? Who? Who are the movers and shakers? We all know that's what it's about, right? Who were the right people? Because how many of us, when you think about it, when they think of networking, old school networking is, oh, it all happens over a cup of coffee. But here's the reality, Amanda. The reality is how many of us have gone and had coffee with someone and walked out and thought, now there's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it happens all the time. But I think the reason it happens is because they didn't qualify them first.
Hmm.
For me, it's all about income producing activities. Now, with that said, I
So
will.
actually,
Go ahead.
if I can stop you there, it sounds like I think this is a really key point because in the beginning you were kind of talking about having 100,000 connections and being able to talk to that many people, and instantly I thought back to when I did one of my very first launches in my coaching industry. I said, I've just got to have conversations. If I just like talk to people, the more people I talk to, the more money I'm going to make. But you're saying something very important here, which is it's not just about talking to people, it's about talking to the right people.
Oh, for sure. One of the things I always like to say in today's business environment, relationships are the currency. But with that said, how fat is your wallet?
Yeah.
Right?
And
I mean, you really need to think about it. Are they the right people? Because you can waste a lot of time by networking with the wrong people. You don't even know yet whether they are the right people or not. And I think that really comes down to asking better questions,
well, that's
right?
what a lot of the coaches in this industry they teach in a way where they're expecting people to cast a wide net. Like you just build up your list, you build up your connections, and then like 1% of everyone who you talk to is going to end up buying. So it just becomes this numbers game where you're just trying to cast a wide net and get as many people in your network as possible. But what if you just had the right people? You wouldn't have to
Exactly.
cast the wide net. You wouldn't have to take as much effort and as much time building up these connections because they would all be the right ones.
Well, I think that old school again, that's back in the day where like let's throw some business cards at the wall and hope they stick and it's all about numbers. But and I know that even in social media and everything, it's not about the number. I mean, I specialize in list building. It's not the number, it's the engagement, right? I mean, I've taken clients that had a list of 700 and had to make multiple six figures. So it's all about how much engagement there is. And that's where that people connecting really comes down to that. And as a matter of fact, I like to say all the time that the only difference between a contact and a contract is the R, and the R stands for relationship. So
Oh, that is such a tweetable. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I think that it really is true, right? It comes back to where are the relationships. So you have to be building the relationships. And in today's environment as well, word of mouth is just as important as word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
So
So I think that going back to that tip, same tip, number 3, who in town are the movers and shakers? So you have to know that. Where should I hang out? What functions should I go to? Who's there? I mean, we have so much data now that we can draw from. I mean, you go to Eventbrite, it tells you who else is attending, right? You go to Meetup, you can see who else is attending. Do your work, right? Find out, are these your people? Is it your audience? Should you be there? Where should you be? So that was a really, really big thing for me. And who were the influencers? And how should I connect with them? So that was a big, big, huge thing.
So I'm curious for you, because I want to take this back to your case study and see this all in action. So first you just identified that you had the opportunity, you didn't throw the pity party for yourself, and you made a decision you were going to connect with 100,000 people and make $100,000. Then you made a plan for who were the mover and shakers, who were you trying to connect with, and where were they? Can you talk a little bit about where you ended up finding those people and who you ended up connecting with?
Absolutely. So I was in Dallas, and again, it's a big city, right? So I used Meetup, I used Eventbrite, I used Google, right? It wasn't that hard to find them, and then find them on social media, and then really look. But here's the number one thing that I think people really need to do is let the people you connect to connect you. It's kind of like connect the dots. Every single person I met and I had a conversation with, if I walked away in that conversation and thought to myself, wow, this was a powerful conversation, rather than going and finding somebody else, the last question I would ask them is, so where's the best places you find to network where you get the best results? And could you tell me the next 3 people I should connect to? And I just let them tell me. And they would just say, oh, well, you need to connect to, A, B, and C. And then I say, would you be willing to do an intro? And they say, oh, of course I would. And that way, then the next 3 people led me to the next 3 people, which led me to the next 3 people, right?
Oh, that's so easy.
Always.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, always is much easier than we think, but it's always really, really important to me. And then I will give you this tip that really worked for me. And this was it. Confirm your appointments before you meet somebody, but don't just confirm them. Most people do that. Here's my secret tip.
Ooh.
I have a 100% success rate on this one tip. And here's why. So when I am confirming, and I actually have this script too, so if anybody wants it, but what I do is when I'm confirming, so say we're going to meet on Friday, I would send them an email and I'd say, I just want to confirm that we're going to meet Friday at XYZ. And then I would say, when you write back and confirm that for me, will you do me a favor and tell me who are the top 3 people you would really love to meet and who are really great strategic partners for you? And here's the secret sauce. So that way I have a chance to look through my database. And if I know them, I'll bring them with me when we meet.
Oh, yeah. Look at you. You're a little connector.
So who's not going to show up, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. You're already giving value to them before you even meet them in person.
Well, here's the screening process right now. So what should happen, right? Reciprocity. When they write back, they should also say, oh, could you do the same for me?
Yeah.
So now when you're meeting, you're getting past the what's the name of your dog and how many kids you have and all these other things, which are relationship building. And once we do know that we could do something together, I do want to know those things. But until we make the decision that we even have synergy anywhere, is that the most important thing? The most important thing is, how can I serve you?
Yeah.
And I have to ask you other questions to know that, which leads me to number 4.
Actually, can I just pause you there for a second? I highly encourage everyone who's listening to think about, even if it's not that question, but even if it's like a variation of that question, what type of question can you ask to get them to respond to the confirmation and give value to them before they even show up? Now, we have a lot of listeners who might not be doing in-person networking. They might be doing virtual networking, but even if you have a virtual phone call or meetup scheduled, you can still do this.
Absolutely.
That was worth the whole show. Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome. Actually, I do the same thing for virtual. My number 1 goal for myself every single day is to pass out 5 business cards that aren't mine.
Oh, look at you.
There you go. 5 business cards that are not mine, virtually or in person. That's my personal goal every single day. So, okay, so now thinking about asking that question. So you know they're going to show up now. Now I'm going to tell you, here's a question sometimes people ask me, so I'm just going to address it to the elephant in the room. Well, what if you meet them and you're not so impressed, right? Well, here's the answer. You told them that you would go through your database and you would bring them with you if you had them, but they don't know whether you did or not. So if you meet them and after you're there, you're like, well, I'm not really sure that I want to do it, then don't. Like, you know what I mean? They don't know whether you did or didn't, right? So really, that power really still is with you in case maybe you meet them and they're like, a little bit flaky, maybe I don't want to introduce them to my people. That's okay. But the fact of the matter is you served them before, you did the work, because sometimes you have a meeting virtual or in person, and then what happens after that? They say, oh, well, that was really great information. I'll do some intros for you, or I'll do this. And then you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, right? Crickets. So this way you've actually done the work up front. So you're a little bit more proactive, and I really like being proactive.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 4 is serve first. I always want to make sure that I serve first. So what is the best way that I can serve them? And a lot of times I will ask them. And the thing that I just told you is one of the ways that I do that. But even when I'm doing it virtually or I have conversations with people, that's always one of the questions I ask is, how can I best serve you? And because I'm a business strategist, it's really like, not only do I want to serve you, I want to serve you in the most strategic way I can. And we can assume all we want, but why wouldn't we just ask?
Yeah.
How can I serve you and do it in the most strategic way? And so that really works for me as far as, you know, who do I want to meet and what can I do for you and what are you looking for? And then they'll usually ask you, well, how can I serve you?
Now, it sounds like you do these in person. You also do them virtually. It sounds like these first little meetups or these first little connection sessions are really that. It's to connect with them. It's not to sell them. Is that right?
Absolutely. I'm really come from a serve, not sell mentality first, because here's what I believe. I believe that if you lead with contribution, compensation will follow.
You are just like a tweetable machine.
Well, I love Twitter. Right? But I mean, I believe that's so true, don't you? I mean, really, with contribution, compensation will follow. That's all in the follow-up, right? But at the beginning, you always serve first, and then it will lead to everything else. So the last thing is, once you have made the connection, now you've tried to find synergy, right? So now it's really all about taking that conversation and turning it into cash. So once you ask them, you know, who do they serve, and you find out who they serve, the most important question that I want to know, and here's a question I ask them, so these are my most important questions, are this: I know a lot of people, and if I was going to tell them about you, what would you want me to tell them? And really what that does is it really enables them to tell me what's the value they bring to the marketplace, right? Not the fluff. What is the value? You want me to tell a lot of people about you? What do you want me to tell them? So if I know who they serve, how I can serve them, and what the value they bring to the marketplace, that's a really strong conversation that tells me what the next step should be. And it opens up the conversation for how we can collaborate. Where's the synergy? Is there something we can do together? And is there a revenue producing activity we can do together? And that's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you actually, I've noticed this about your site is that you, I don't know if it's still there, but there was a point when you had like something on your website that was that was about like partnerships and working together.
That's JV.
Yeah. Is it still a tab on the site?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not surprised. You little networker, you.
Well, I get a lot of people that hit that tab too, but I love it because they're providing me the information that I need. So when I get back with them, I already have time to check them out, see, you know, what it is I think that how they're showing up in the marketplace. And that tells me what I need to do before I even get on the phone.
So was a lot of the $100,000 that you made off of the 100,000 connections a JV type of thing that you guys did together?
Some of it, but most of it was that once they saw how much I served, like how I really led with that contribution, really wasn't even making an offer or selling. It was really an invitation to really continue to work. How can we work together? And I get asked that question so much. I have to tell you, I really don't have this. I was like, well, Patty, how can we work together? What does that look like? You know, I want to do something with you. And it's really just finding the thing, right? What is the thing? But I think that if you do this work up front and provide value, if they're getting that much value at no cost, then the next step for them is, wow, if I got all of this and I didn't even pay you a dime, how much value would I get if I wrote you a check?
Yeah. How do you let go of your attachment to the outcome and the attachment to the money? Like, I imagine for some people, it's a little hard to be like, all right, I'm just going to focus on serving and the money is going to come. How do you handle those fears?
So here's something really interesting for me. What I do is this conversation that I'm having with someone is a very small amount of time. I always have it on the phone first before I meet anybody in person, and it's very, very short. So I already know a lot of information in a brief amount of time, right? And so I'm sure you get this too, the whole pick your brain. Can we go have coffee? I'd love to run this by you, that kind of stuff. And pretty much my answer for that is, and I had to not be attached to this and not take it personally, but pretty much my answer to that is, I'll tell you what I'll do. You can ask me anything you want for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, we go on the clock. Fair enough? And they'll always go, okay. And I'm going to tell you, they either write a check then, or believe me, they're done in 10 minutes.
Oh, that's actually a really, really good strategy. Most people are like, oh, you want to pick my brain? No. Like, don't ever let people do that. But you really come from a place, you have this nice balance. You come from a place of service, but you also stand in your power.
Ask me what you want for 10 minutes. I am never so busy. I don't have 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But after that, then you're renting my brain, right?
Oh, I love this. Okay, so if we do a little recap here of all of these steps. So first, you recognize that there was the opportunity. You made the decision to capitalize on this opportunity and created a very specific desired outcome for yourself, 100 connections, $100,000. Then you identified where these connections were going to happen and who you wanted the connections to be with, which in your case was like Meetup, Eventbrite, searching on Google to find out where people were in your Dallas area. Then you went to those places to find these people, and you after meeting them, you actually had them introduce you to even more people, which was really, really cool. You also mentioned as like a little sub tip in there, before the meetings, asking them, giving them value actually before the meetings, is asking them who they would like to be connected with. That way you can help them before you actually meet up. When you meet up, you already know a lot about them. You've basically pre-qualified them, so you know that it's worth your time. And then you give them more value, which kind of spirals into this natural conversation about where the synergy is in working together. How can you collaborate? How can they help you? How can you help them? And that is how you lead the collaborations into cash. Did I get the recap right?
You did a fabulous job. Fabulous job. Exactly.
Perfect. I was talking to Patty earlier about how I have a mommy brain and I have a hard time remembering things, so I might botch the recap. I'm glad I made it through.
That's funny.
Perfect. All right, Patty, you are so awesome. I'm so happy that I got to collaborate with you on this show. Woo!
Yep.
For our nerdpreneurs who are listening and they want to learn more from you, get some of these scripts. It sounds like you got a script for just about everything. And they're going to go and take that extra step to look you up online. Can you make it a little easier on them? Where can they find you, or what's the gift that you have for us today?
Thank you so much for asking. So they can just go make it nice and simple. It's pattyfarmer.com. Patty's with a Y. So pattyfarmer.com. I do have a gift there for them. It's the 6-figure biz quiz, and it will literally in less than 4 minutes tell them everything they need to know, where they're excelling, where they need some help, and how they can have massive growth this year.
Ooh, I like it. 6-figure biz quiz. That sounds so fun.
And that's the word 6, S-I-X, not the number. 6-figure biz quiz.
Okay, beautiful. And they can get that right at pattyfarmer.com?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, Nerdpreneur Nation, there you have it. Our networking superhero has swooped in to save the day. Woo! To grab her 6-figure biz quiz, head on over to pattyfarmer.com. Thank you so much, Patty, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yay! That's what we like to hear. And thank you guys for being here and listening. We hope you learned a lot. Can't wait to hear where these tips take you. And we'll catch you next time on Market Like a Nerd. Have a nerdtastic day, guys. Bye!